I often think that it's, you know, a big band, or a relatively rather large band, is like a football team, in the sense that everybody has, or just a team in general, everybody has their role to play. The way I consider the role is, for intonation, you need to listen down. The most important person in the band for intonation are the bass and the bari sax. So before the concert, you guys really need to be in tune with the piano, and then what we do is we listen down for intonation. In other words, we can do a little experiment in a second, where we start and you tune up, Bones tune up with Barry, and we go that way. And so in other words, you're listening to the person one beneath you for intonation. I think a lot of times what ends up happening, because, you know, the equivalent of that is you listen up for style. So who's playing first trumpet on this piece? So he's playing first trumpet. You should actually be in the middle of the band. So you should switch positions, okay? You don't have to move your stand, just take your music on this particular piece. And what I would recommend is whoever's playing first trumpet should be in the middle. So it should be sort of like 1, 2, 3, 4, because what you need to be able to do, see, all of the articulation, all of the long shorts, you know, the stylistic stuff is predicated from the lead trumpet and the drummer. You know, if this was a football team, I would consider the quarterbacks of the team, you know, or the two jockeys are the lead trumpet player and the drummer, because all the style comes from that. So for example, if we have a, you know, if you're going like and you want to hear it like well, the thing is, if he's playing it short and they're together in their concept, then that's what we have to do. Does that make sense? We want to have one concept of style. And you guys actually have a really nice swing feel going, you know. So, I mean, we can talk about swing in a second too. So that's the deal. Listen down for intonation, listen up for style. And so, but when we think of that, like, what is the most important activity that we're doing when we're doing that? Is listening, right? Is listening? What were you going to say? Listening. Excellent. Because in other words, you know, what ends up happening, and I can tell you especially, you know, of course, Bill and I have been exactly where you're at when I was in high school. There's a lot of stress preparing for a concert, other outside things. So a lot of times, if one is like, I used to be focused on my own sound, what I was doing, and maybe what I'm doing is really good, but if it's not in tune and in relation to everybody. So the skill we need to really start thinking about is listening. And it's sort of counterintuitive, because often you're playing and you're listening at the same time, so your focus is a little bit more, you know, broader than just playing or just listening. If you only listen and don't focus on your playing, right, then that's not good either. So it's sort of a duality there. And you're listening with one ear down to make sure you're in tune. We can work on that. And the other ear to make sure we're playing in style, that we're matching the lead player, and especially that our horns are up and we're getting that sound focused out. Now we'll work on some of those individual skills in a second, but I'd like to have Phil talk for a second.
Well, I don't have near as much to say, really. But what I will say is, you know, the rhythm section drives the band in a way. Now, everybody here, you know, I applaud everybody here for attempting to swing, because that's not what your peers are trying to do. You know, your peers are more like, that's more what you hear every day. So I applaud you guys for doing that. Now, given that, however, since you are doing that, there's so much to listen to really get this feel going. You guys are pretty good. You got a clue on it. I just encourage everybody to really zone in, since you're playing this stuff, to really like listen to this type of music so that you can really get into it and really make it happen. All right, having said that, given where you are, I'm always one for like going for the gusto, wherever you are, wherever your level is at. So what I want to hear really is the rhythm section to try to drive. I mean, you guys had a nice dynamic thing happening, but it's kind of like when Conrad said that you had that like ding, 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 ding. I mean, that could be big, or you know, that could really be you know, everybody can really like hit that strong, make that stuff happen. So You know, I would always rather the rhythm section. I mean, I don't want you to kill the horns, or I don't want you to be bombastic or anything, but I want you guys to like think about really driving the horns, so they can really like, so we can really feel this music, because you guys, I think that's the thing about, you know, when I listen to big bands, the best big bands, the rhythm section is great. You know, it's really great. And conversely, if the rhythm section isn't great, it can also bring a big band that could be great. Now, you guys are kind of in the middle. Actually, you're pretty good. So I think you could just give it a little more gusto, and you know, don't be afraid to make any, especially in the drums. Don't be afraid to make any mistakes. If anybody who knows me, I'm like cool with mistakes made in the spirit of like really trying to make the music happen, you know. So go for it.
He looks like a conservative guy, but he really is a musical risk taker. You know what I'm saying? He looks like a mild-mannered guy, but on stage,
I try to mess him up, but it's hard. It's hard.
But you know, when we talk about swing, let's just discuss it for a second. We have kind of a lot of time here, right? We have an hour or more
We got a
to
couple
talk
hours.
about it. Yeah, we got a couple hours.
Yeah.
So, in Afrocentric music, I mean, it's no big deal, but I have a bachelor's degree in Afro-Cuban ethnomusicology, which is the study of African roots and Cuban music, and, you know. But what I can tell you is, in African music, in Afrocentric musics, one of the key elements is the juxtaposition of 2 against 3. You know, it's been called the unbalanced axis. So in jazz, which is not necessarily Afro-Caribbean, it's Afro-American music, the unbalanced axis we call swing, right? That feeling of propulsion is we call swing, right? So the thing is, what we want to feel, and it's going to be hard for us to do it by tonight on a nice burn tempo like Lester Leaps In, but for example, what we're feeling when we swing is not 2. We may feel 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, but I'll give you an example. What we're doing is we're going doodle da 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 doodle. Now, why don't you guys, can you snap your fingers on 2 and 4? So 1, 2. There's another thing about Afrocentric music. The upbeats. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now I want you to say along with me. Doodle da 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 doodle. You see that feeling? That's how you swing. Is that you swing on 2 and 4, and you swing with that feeling of triplet, 3 against 2. That's the unbalanced axis. That's the difference. Now, some people mistakenly, maybe it comes from some symphonic adaptations of like Gershwin's music or something. They think it's like ta da 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 da, right? Dotted 8, 16, which is still a subdivision of the beat in 4. So really, when you think about it, if this is a triplet, we're putting the first 2 notes of the triplet together. We're going doodle da 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 doodle, right? With the emphasis on the last triplet of the beat. Does that make sense? What we're talking about? One thing we can do is we can just take a note. Can everybody play a B-flat concert? In fact, you know what? Let's try to tune up. Can you play a B-flat minor triad? And I know you usually don't tune up on a B-flat, but try playing a B-flat. Just roll it. Okay, now keep that low B-flat going. Keep the low B-flat going. Play a B-flat. Get inside it. Keep going. Okay, lower trumpets, an alto. Everybody with me. Keep going. on that B flat, okay? And you guys can just walk like a B flat 7, like you're playing a B flat blues, just don't go to the 4 chord underneath. Okay, ready? Here we go. And you can just swing it underneath. 1, 2. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. But you really feel legato and feel make it really connected. And if you want to, what I think, even though we're trying to get out of, you know, the classical frame, is think of a cello bow and imagine that's your air. Let's say it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's try it. A 1, 2, 3, 4. In fact, let me grab my horn real quick. You know, and one thing that's really interesting is, you know, my take on the creative process is that part of, I mean, for example, learning how to swing, you would think is intuitive. Like there's really two parts of our brain. There's the intuitive part of our brain, and then there's the sort of intellectual part of our brain, the thinking part. And so what we have to do at first is just, you know, we're imagining, okay, jazz is a triplet-based music, and then a little bit, like over time, we're training our intuition. So what I'm hearing is something like this when I play it. Okay, so let's try it. 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3. I'll do it once, you guys answer me. Okay? 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. I'm hearing ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. I want to hear it. Let's just try doing the triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rhythm section accompany me. And you guys answer my phrase. 1, 2, 3.